Kenny has died over 100 times in the series. But today, I'm going to show you the 4 episodes in which Kenny had the worst and most mysterious deaths in South Park. The first episode is when he is taken to a foster home with his brother and his little sister Karen, and does everything he can to defend her. Kenny watches a program on television about poor families who are intervened by the police, and notices that his house is the one that appears on camera.
But the children in this home live in a world of neglect. There's no heating, no groceries.
Kenny warns his parents, but they don't pay attention. And as if it wasn't enough torture for the McCormick kids, Cartman shows up, and well, we all know what that means.
Oh wow, poor people being arrested. What a rare occurrence. Hey, Kenny.
This is how they are taken to social services, and are interviewed by the person in charge of child protection services in a macabre room full of clowns.
I'm a trickster. People say I'm really meant for comedy. Here's my headshot, just in case you know anybody.
At South Park Elementary School, Kyle and Stan worry about Kenny's situation until Cartman arrives with more important news, or at least the news he considers most important.
Really? Yeah. I've gone through every student in the school, and I'm pretty sure that now that Kenny's gone, the poor kid is Craig.
And so begins an endless stream of Cartman jokes about poverty.
Hey, Craig, your family get you that jacket at Walmart or Kmart? What are you talking about? Nothing, dude. It's cool. I mean, we would tell your parents to shop at nicer places, but your mom is so poor she can't even pay attention.
As expected from the same Cartman who mercilessly mocked people with Tourette's and makes jokes about Jews in every episode. Sometimes, I wonder if there is something that is not a joke to him. Meanwhile, Kenny and his siblings are taken to their new foster home, where they practice agnosticism and only drink agnostic beverages.
They are all strict agnostics. David, do you believe in God?
I don't know.
Well, it could have been worse, right? Cartman and Butters go through the school's files to find out who the poorest kid in school is now that Kenny is gone. So Cartman can make fun of him with all his propriety. However, Butters' discovery surprises him, but not in a good way.
Yeah? Well, actually, Eric, it's you.
Touche. Eric, this time it seems that everything is against you, and you will finally receive your own medicine, which coincidentally will be administered by yourself.
Laugh it up, everyone. Carmen's mom is so poor that when she goes to KFC, she has to lick other people's fingers. Ha! I beat you to it, kid.
It seems that the only thing more important than his image is that the class's jokes are done justice so as not to waste the opportunity. Typical Cartman. And when he confronts his mother about his bills, Leanne gives him the only logical answer.
You have to start doing more, Mom. What are you doing with your time?
Eric, I'm working 2 jobs. Mommy's doing everything she can.
But we know that nothing is ever enough for Eric, so he starts a plan to be in a foster home like Kenny. As if that's going to solve his problems, of course it is. Meanwhile, at the foster home, Karen is visited by Mysterian, Kenny's heroic identity, who encourages her to know that she is not alone, and gives her all the words of comfort that Kenny can't give her.
I'll try, Guardian Angel.
Don't try, Karen. Do.
Mysterian disappears, and in South Park they find another supposed phenylmethylamine laboratory, which ends up being nothing more and nothing less than another manipulation by Cartman to get him taken to a foster home and stop being the poorest kid in school.
Were things so bad for you financially you had to turn to a life of crime? My mom is so poor she uses Cheerios for earrings.
But far from fulfilling his expectations of being welcomed by a millionaire family in Hawaii, he ends up being placed in the same house with Kenny.
Greeley? What the? Dude, this is like poorer than my old house.
What the heck are you doing here?
Cartman, Kenny, and Karen go to their school, and Cartman ends up learning that there is a boy even poorer than them, which somehow restores the status quo in his mind, and he feels like everything is taking shape again.
Yes! Yeah! Did you hear that, Kenny? We're good! I seriously thought we didn't stand a chance, but now, everything's gonna be okay! Cause I'm not the poor kid at ski!
Cartman is taken to the principal's office for his behavior, because of course they don't know who Eric Cartman is, and I hope they don't have to any longer, and ends up having another argument with the caseworker about who has the most dated jokes.
All you're doing is taking something topical and revamping old Catholic jokes.
Oh, and your mama jokes are better? They've been around since the 50s.
Finally, Cartman gets to argue with someone of his own intellectual level, I guess. At that moment, they are interrupted by a student who warns that they are about to beat up one of the new kids. In the courtyard, Karen is being attacked by a bully and is saved by Mysterion.
Karen McCormick is off limits. Do you understand?
Unfortunately, Mysterion's intervention brings problems to the family dinner conversation at the foster home, and all the children are taken to the basement to be punished for talking about Karen's supposed guardian angel, which is not allowed in that house.
No, you can't be certain of that. You might have seen one. Hit him with the Dr. Pepper again. Are there such things as angels?
Baby.
Karen is scared of being punished and looks for her brother Kenny, but realizes he's not there. And just then, there's a knock at the door, and as incredible as it may sound, it's Cartman saving the day.
Haha, I told on you, Mom and Dad.
Cartman brings Mr. Adams to check out the mistreatment they receive at home, and simultaneously, Mysterion leaves a gift for the Weatherheads on the refrigerator. At the same time, Cartman and Mr. Adams check the basement, and the caseworker regrets the harm he has done to the children by sending them to that house without knowing what was happening there.
What have I done? I put innocent children into a dangerous environment.
In the end, everything falls into place, and those who are truly damned are those who deserve it.
I'm not saying it.
Then we'll add another charge for resisting.
Okay, fine. I'm white trash and I'm in trouble.
As I said, just those who deserve it. Kenny returns to school with his friends, and Cartman shows that prison hasn't changed him, and he's just glad he's not the poorest kid in school again.
Cause I'm not, he's not, the poor kid is key. Kenny's back and it's such a thrill. Now I'm rich just like Stan and Kim.
But suddenly, a giant reptilian bird's head comes through the roof and eats Kenny, leaving everyone stunned and Cartman crying again for being the poorest boy again.
My mama's so poor she walks down the road with one shoe. And if you ask her if she lost her shoe, she says, no, I found one.
After an episode where he risked everything to keep his sister safe, and it seemed like everything was going to turn out better for him, he was simply devoured by a giant bird that God knows where it came from. Kenny definitely takes the prize for the worst luck. Sorry, Kenny. Kenny's next death is straight out of a Halloween episode, and it's when he infects everyone with pink eye. At the beginning of the episode, the MIR space station crashes to Earth right above Kenny.
Oh my God! They killed Kenny!
Once again, the boys completely ignore the death, and he is taken to the morgue while they continue to discuss what costumes they will wear on Halloween.
Hey, where do you guys see my Halloween costume tomorrow? It kicks ass.
Dude, it can't be cooler than mine.
Hey man, we gotta get home and get our costumes ready.
Well, I expected that reaction from our favorite manipulator, but I didn't expect it from Stan and Kyle. I guess it's because Halloween is always a priority for the boys. At the morgue, the morticians go through the motions, which appear to involve injecting embalming fluids with an accidental mixture of Worcestershire sauce, which ends up turning Kenny into a dangerous brain-eating zombie who bites them.
Hey! Ah! Goddamn, that little turd bit me! Me too!
Great job, guys. On Halloween Day, the boys wait for the bus, and Kyle arrives wearing a Chewbacca mask. Stan is Raggedy Andy to be a couple with his girlfriend Wendy, and Cartman is his favorite historical character.
It's Adolf Hitler costume. Ying-ha! Ying-ha!
Those were the days when not everything could be cancelled on television. Kenny, in his zombie state, also arrives, and Stan is barely surprised to see his friend alive after being crushed by a space station.
Hey look, Kenny's not dead.
No one seems to notice his undead appearance and just comment that he forgot his costume. Seriously, you guys don't even think that being a real zombie is a costume? You're so picky. Marty and Mortician go to the doctor because of their strange symptoms. Temperature 55 degrees, no pulse, no heartbeat, and eyes are all puffy and sticky, which can only mean one thing.
Yeah, I'm afraid the two of you have pink eye.
The doctor ignores Marty's strong desire to eat brains and just gives them some antibiotics and tells them not to touch their eyes, which really sounds like a consultation for any doctor today. At school, Kyle is disappointed to discover that everyone has the same Chewbacca costume, even Wendy, who tells Stan that she thought the idea of dressing up as Raggedy Ann was ridiculous.
I thought you would reach the same conclusion, so I came as Chewbacca.
Class begins, and Kenny's body parts begin to fall off. Curiously, Mr. Garrison Monroe doesn't see anything suspicious in this and scolds him, while Kyle thinks of a new plan to win the 2 tons of candy in the costume contest, which, according to him, he won't win with the same costume as the others. Unbeknownst to them, the true terror of Halloween is already walking the streets, as the morticians turned zombies tackle their first victim and the contagion spreads. Later, Cartman is summoned to Principal Victoria's office for his costume, while Kenny bites his next victim. After watching a documentary on what not to do, Cartman ends up excited and wants to watch the video again.
Can I see that again? That was cute.
You must remove that costume immediately.
The principal tries to help, but makes things worse by making Eric another costume that is suspiciously similar to those of the Ku Klux Klan, excusing herself that she is dressing him up as a ghost.
And let me just make a few quickie alterations, and there you go, young man.
Eric's image only gets worse, and the costume contest is about to begin. Cartman shows off his strange and equally offensive costume that makes Chef run away. Stan doesn't change his, while Kyle arrives with a new solar system costume.
I'm the whole solar system. The planets even all revolve the right way. That tub of candy is as good as mine.
Mr. Garrison reveals that the judge is Tina Yothers, who the kids think is already dead, and who, by the way, is still alive. And she ends up giving second place to Kenny for his Edward James Olmos costume, while giving first place to Wendy, who is literally dressed the same as 20 other people, and giving an award for worst costume to Stan, which I confess is well deserved. Mr. Garrison continues with the activities until Zombie Clyde appears and begins to bite the students.
Wait your turn, Clyde.
Chef discovers that what is infecting everyone in South Park is not a pink eye epidemic, but a zombie epidemic.
Pink eye my ass.
The kids gather around to trick or treat, and Kenny joins them, still less communicative than usual.
I don't like Ken anymore. He just doesn't communicate.
For some reason, and even though he's hurt, Stan continues to wear his Pippi Longstocking costume Cartman's word, not mine. And Wendy arrives to confess to giving away all the prize candy to the children of Nairobi, receiving rejection from everyone, especially Stan, who says he doesn't want to see her again.
No buts, Wendy. I wish you were dead.
Maybe more than just not seeing her again? So his wish comes true, and Wendy is attacked by a zombie. Chef tries to tell the doctor that there is not a pink eye epidemic, but a living dead epidemic. But it would be easier to explain it to a monkey.
Think about it. Dead people getting up and walking around. And Tina Yothers come to town? Coincidence? Oh, I don't think so.
Meanwhile, the kids are out trick-or-treating, but are interrupted at each house by Kenny's thirsty appetite for brains.
Dude, Kenny!
Oh my God! Call 911! Call 911!
Nice going, Kenny. She was about to give us candy.
Each candy request fails, and Kenny infects more people along the way, so they decide to split up with him and go on their own.
Yeah, that's it, Kenny. You can't trick or treat with us anymore.
That Stan doesn't want to be around Kenny just because he won't let him trick or treat, and prefers to be with the Ku Klux version of Eric, explains how much they care about Halloween, and especially its candy. Anyway, the zombies continue to destroy the city, and the kids arrive at Chef's house to ask for sweets. After a scare, Chef explains the situation to the kids, and they reluctantly agree that there is something out of the ordinary, a bit of brains, blood, and lots of zombies. But this is pretty normal for Halloween, right? They decide to go to the morgue to find out what happened, and when they arrive, they find the Worcestershire Willow and an emergency number.
I gotta call this hotline number, children.
The zombies begin to break into the morgue, being guided by Kenny, and the chef ends up becoming Jackson, zombie. And of course, we are presented with a parody of Thriller. The boys run away and get a phone to call the salsa number, and Kyle is the chosen one, while Stan and Cartman stop the zombies around.
Worcestershire Sauce Emergency Hotline. This call might be monitored to ensure you the highest quality service. How may I help you?
The climax comes when Kyle's call is finally answered. Wendy appears in front of Stan turned into a zombie, and Cartman just wants revenge on everyone for ruining his Halloween night.
Wendy, I know we had a fight, and I did wish you were dead, but I didn't mean it. Kill her, Stan!
All you have to do is kill the original zombie, the one that started the whole mess. Once you kill the original zombie, all the other zombies will turn back to normal.
And that's how Kyle runs at Kenny with a chainsaw and cuts him in half, giving him his second tragic death of the episode. After all, no one wants to be killed by their friend with a chainsaw or crushed by a space station.
Oh my God! I
Cartman is happy to be able to trick or treat again, and Kenny, well, ends up dead in the cemetery again. Or maybe not so dead, since his hand peeks out of the ground at the end. Great ending, Kenny. We won't deny that. Kenny's worst deaths in the series are shrouded in nonsense, of course, but they also have a mystery factor that manages to surprise us, as happens in the episode in which Kenny wanted to find answers about his immortality. Getting into context, the boys are in their superhero alter egos, with which they have gone through the journeys of fighting Cthulhu, an interdimensional monster, and saving the city. Although the main conflict of their alter egos is always in the eternal discussion with Cartman about the name of the group, which of course has as its main name the name of the Coon, Cartman's alter ego, and fights about the group's goals, which Eric decides at many times is only for his personal glory, and not to help the citizens as it should be. In this episode, the Coon friends are having a secret meeting presided over by Bradley's alter ego, Mintberry Crunch, which is a strange and unexciting selection of superhero.
The power of mint and berries, yet with a satisfying, tasty crunch. No, see, that's the problem, dude. That's not really a superpower.
That's exactly what Brad was referring to. Everyone starts talking about their superpowers, and Kenny, aka Mysterion, finally talks openly about his immortality.
I'm being serious. I really can't die.
Kenny tries to make them remember his multiple deaths, but Stan denies it, saying that he would remember if he died.
Well, you don't. I die over and over, only to wake up in my bed like nothing happened.
Kenny loses control when talking about immortality, and the others just want to move on. Personally, I think Kenny needs to take a serious look at his friendships, and soon. So, he decides to make his death a public event so they remember what's really going on. And well, he does what Kenny does best, and that's dying.
Remember this time. Try and fucking remember.
Nice try, buddy, but they obviously forgot about that in a second. On the other hand, Cartman, aka the Coon, has his own version of the story, where of course he's not the problem, and all his friends are actually the villains. The Coon makes an alliance with his old enemy Cthulhu, and decides that both will destroy his former friends, whom he considers the villains of the story, a situation that only happens in Cartman's mind.
Without warning, the Coon friends changed. Their superpowers morphed somehow, turning them into super villains.
The Coon friend reunion continues, and when Mysterion appears again, no one remembers his recent death.
You guys have no memory of me shooting myself in the head, do you?
What?
Kenny wants to go talk to the Cthulhu cult, because he believes that they must have the answer about his powers, and well, the rest use their superpower to ignore him, even after all his effort. The Coon arrives at the association's top secret base, which isn't so secret, actually. It's Cartman's basement, and is quickly rebuffed by the group.
Go away, Cartman. We kicked you out of Coon and Friends, remember?
Cartman tries to use his manipulative tricks on them, but they don't work, so he decides to do the next thing he's most used to doing, lying.
All right, look, you guys were totally right, okay? That's all I wanted to say. That and there's a double rainbow outside.
I still wonder how they can trust Cartman. After he lied about being disabled and forced Butters into hiding for a supposed apocalypse, a double rainbow seems innocent, but coming from Cartman, it's the beginning of the end.
Nuh-uh, you guys are the bad guy.
Cartman continues to rave about being the good guy and punishing the bad guys, which obviously isn't true, because literally his main ally is an interdimensional villain. Maybe?
Cartman, if you team up with the most evil thing in the universe, then clearly you are the bad guy.
Cthulhu sends them to another dimension in one move, and the city is at the mercy of Cartman, who is willing to do anything to achieve his goals, even purring and imitating a cute kitten to keep Cthulhu happy.
Time to bust out Cute Kitten.
Inside the mysterious dimension where all the boys are, they have a discussion about how they will get out of there. But the only one who has a real solution is Kenny, who proposes that he will try to save everyone, dying and waking up in his bed as usual.
Ow! That fucking hurts!
His plan goes as expected, and he wakes up back in his room, which seems to be what always happens. He grabs his Mysterion suit from the closet and goes to confront Coon and Cthulhu, who are causing real trouble at the Burning Man Festival.
Cthulhu isn't behaving
as most scientists had speculated, Tom, but the Dark Lord is wreaking havoc everywhere and...
No, excuse me. I'm a little sick of everyone giving him all the credit when I'm the one really making the world a better place.
That's right. The most important thing about destroying the world is the recognition. That alone is worth it. Meanwhile, Mysterion goes looking for answers from the Cthulhu cult, who turn out to be a group of goth teenagers gathered in Bradley's sister's room.
And what about Cthulhu's power? Why can't old ones die?
The only thing that can destroy an immortal is another immortal.
Mysterion is certain he'll find the reason for his powers by confronting Cthulhu, and Mintberry Crunch only pretends to be of help.
Oh, right. Maybe I can find the reason for my powers, too.
After Cthulhu exterminates Justin Bieber, which is the only thing I agree with Cartman on, Mysterion arrives to ruin his triumph.
You little fucking prick! What is wrong with you? What kind of sick fuck does that to his friends?
Mysterion decides to confront Cthulhu, immortal to immortal. But a totally unexpected turn occurs when an alien descends from the sky with a message that reveals who the true hero of the story is.
But you were sent here to stop evil from taking over the Earth, and now that time has apparently come. You must now harness and focus your power, Gagzara. The power of mint and berries, yet with a tasty, satisfying crunch.
Yes, please go on.
Finally, Mintberry Crunch did have a power, and apparently the most important one of the episode. I confess, I didn't see it coming. The Coon is imprisoned along with Professor Chaos, and everyone is rescued from the dark dimension. It seems like the day is safe, and everyone is focused on Mintberry Crunch, but the questions about Kenny aren't answered, or so it seems, until the end of the episode comes, and one of Kenny's most interesting deaths in the series occurs.
Yeah, I'm tired, guys. Think I'm gonna go to bed.
At that moment, Kenny's mother Carol begins to have labor pains.
What?
It's happening again!
Thus, Kenny is born again and is taken to his room by his parents, being placed in his distinctive orange jacket. And before leaving, they confess to being sorry for having been to a cult meeting, revealing the origin of Kenny's immortality. I think I can die in peace now. I saved the best episode on this list for last, and it's Kenny's final death, or at least the most emotional of all. The episode begins with a doctor convincing a patient at an abortion clinic to participate in donating her fetus to be used in stem cell research, which apparently will help cure many other diseases. The patient agrees, and her fetus, along with others, are sent on a truck to Alder's labs. However, halfway there, a deer crosses the road, and the truck goes off on a hill. Cartman appears rolling into the crash site and notices the contents of the truck.
What do we have now?
Oh, gosh, we know nothing good will come out of this. Meanwhile, the rest of the boys are watching the cows when Kenny coughs loudly, worrying Kyle.
You've had that cough a while, Kenny. You okay?
Kenny says he's fine, and Butters arrives to tell them that Eric needs them, and they don't want to miss what he has to show them. After a riddle that is not fun for the boys, Cartman reveals that he has 33 fetuses in his yard, and that he plans to sell them to labs for stem cell research.
It's been proven, Jew. I saw it on 321 Contact. With all the research that's going on, stem cells are worth 3 times their weight in gold. What I have in my backyard is an aborted treasure chest.
Well, we can't say that it's the worst thing he's done, but it definitely becomes one of the best things he knows how to do.
I'm telling you, if you let the steel pass you by, you're making a fatal mistake. 110. All right, we got a deal.
Thanks to his great skills, Cartman manages to sell the fetuses to the same laboratory where the truck was headed, but upon arrival, he discovers that the government has cancelled the research, and the business that would make him a millionaire is over.
Too many people are upset about using aborted fetal tissue for study. It's too bad, too. We really could have helped a lot of people.
This is not exactly what saddens Cartman, who is only thinking about his own interests, as always.
Hey, what the hell am I supposed to do with these things, huh? God damn it!
The next day, Kyle and Stan are called to the principal's office, where they meet with their parents and receive the news that Kenny is very ill in the hospital.
Boys, your little friend Kenny went to the hospital last night, okay? And well, he's pretty sick.
And this is how, in one of the saddest scenes of the series, Kyle and Stan's parents explain to them that Kenny will not survive the disease and will soon die.
Wait, Kenny's going to die?
He might, Kyle.
But he's our friend.
We've seen Kenny die at least 5 times in this video alone, and for some reason, this scene made me cry. I'm not going to deny that. Cartman continues to try to sell the fetuses, but is visited by Kyle and Stan, so he leaves Butters in charge of the business.
You're breaking my balls. I said you're breaking my balls, Mr. Thompson. My balls.
There's no denying how well Butters learned from Eric. Stan and Kyle tell Cartman about Kenny, and even South Park's most cold-hearted manipulator softens at the news and becomes saddened before heading to the hospital. Which means this is perhaps one of the most serious episodes in the show's history. When the boys arrive at the hospital, things get worse. Kenny is on a stretcher, totally weak, and Stan can't stand the pressure of seeing him in that situation.
Hey, we were all just talking about how when you get better, we're all gonna go down to Stark's Pond again and go camping. Huh, Stan?
Kyle and Stan argue in the hallway about Stan's inability to cope for Kenny's sake, while Cartman has an emotional moment with Kenny in the bedroom.
You know, it's funny, Kenny. Stan and Kyle have always sort of been two best friends, you know, and well, I don't know if I ever told you this, Kenny, but I kind of always thought you were my best friend. I don't know.
I wasn't lying when I said it was the most emotional death. Cartman promises Kenny that he will find a cure for his disease and becomes determined to do his best to learn how stem cells work and save Kenny, which sounds like his first selfless act for someone else, or so it seems. In Kenny's room, Kyle shows him some messages sent by his classmates, but Kenny only asks about Stan, who has not visited him again.
Stan? Oh, well, no, there's nothing here from Stan, but, well, Stan's gonna come see you real soon, I bet, Kenny.
Somehow the Make-A-Wish Foundation comes to Kenny's room and tells him to make a wish, which of course is not to die, but they manage to bring Madonna, who they claim would be the ideal wish for any terminally ill 8-year-old.
Should I come in now?
Not quite yet.
Chef has a deep conversation with Stan, where he explains how complex life is and how God likes to see us suffer, and that's why he gives us happiness, only to take it away from us later.
Then you would have nothing to cry about. That's like God, who gives us life and love and health just so that he can tear it all away and make us cry, so he can drink the sweet milk of our tears. You see, it's our tears, Stan, that give God his great power.
It couldn't be better explained, Chef. Meanwhile, Cartman makes an emotional presentation at the Capitol and manages to reactivate stem cell research.
Look, I realize that using the tissue from aborted fetuses for research is a touchy subject, but all I know is that if there's a chance that stem cell research could save my best friend's life.
His cause has the entire Congress singing, and all that remains is to get more fetuses for research, something that Cartman handles quite well.
All right! Now Kenny has a fighting chance.
That's when Stan overcomes his internal conflict and decides to go see Kenny at the hospital, but it's too late.
He just stopped breathing, and it was over.
Kyle tells him that his last words were, "Where's Stan?" But somehow Cartman manages to make this one of Kenny's worst deaths, and at the same time, one of his worst manipulations and actions of the series.
Look! I put the stem cells from all the fetuses I had next to Shakey's, and they are replicating a new Shakey's. It worked!
And to think that I almost forgave all your crimes, Eric. I guess Stan is right to feel better about not being Kenny's worst friend, but his worst deaths are definitely always associated with what happens after they happen. All that's left to say is, oh my God, they killed Kenny. You bastards.